Hello, everyone who's tuning in right now. Welcome to the virtual opening for Living in Layers, the current exhibition at the Silk Purse Arts Centre that the West Vancouver Community Arts Council is presenting. It's a wonderful show featuring two amazing artists who are with us tonight, and you'll be able to hear from them as they talk about their work and their inspirations, and you'll have a chance to chat with them and ask them questions about their work. Sorry, some tech stuff happening. Awesome, great. So before we get started, I would like to acknowledge that we are coming to you live from the unceded and traditional territories of the Squamish Nation, the Tsleil-Waututh Nation, and the Musqueam Nation. And here as guests and settlers, the Arts Council is incredibly grateful to our hosts for us being here on this beautiful land, to have this beautiful gallery and to be inspired by all this wonderful nature. And we are incredibly grateful for any kind of guidance from our hosts, our Indigenous neighbors and community members in terms of building community, creating art, and stewardship of the land. So a big thank you to our hosts for letting us be here on this beautiful, beautiful land. So as I said, we're coming to you live from the Silk Purse Arts Centre in West Vancouver for this wonderful exhibition featuring two amazing artists. Gina Leon, a formerly Vancouver-based artist and actress and muralist who is now based in Los Angeles, and David Righton, another Vancouver-based artist who's also a musician. So we've got some really, really talented folks with us tonight to talk about their work. And the work they're talking about is fantastic. You can see some of it behind me in the gallery here. We'll take a tour of it a little bit later. But I encourage you to come on down and see it. The show's on from now until July 25th. So a few things about tonight. If you do have questions or comments for our amazing artists, you can drop those in the chat and we'll get to them probably closer to the end of the night. So let's have the amazing artists introduce themselves. Gina, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Gina Leon, and I was born in Johannesburg, South Africa, and spent most of my childhood and adulthood in Vancouver. And I grew up in a household where art was very present. My mother was a jeweler and is an artist and continues to be creative in all aspects of her life. My grandfather was an artist. I have cousins. My sister's an artist. So there was a lot of inspiration groaning on the walls of our home, bits and pieces made by all sorts of family members. And so that was definitely a contributing voice in terms of directing me towards the arts. And I think as a kid, I had a lazy eye, and I ended up having eye surgery and wearing lots of glasses and eye patches to strengthen my eyes. And so the question of seeing things and having a certain amount of control or not having control over how I was seeing things was something that was always in question. And I think in some shape or form that definitely had an impact on my interest in all things visual and what my eyes could see. And that sort of evolved a lot over time. Sometimes it's in the way of acting and studying people, and in other ways it's affected everything that I paint. Yeah, nice to meet you all, and I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to be sharing the space with David.
That's awesome. Thanks, Gina.
You're welcome.
That was a great little bit of info. It's amazing to hear, different ways of seeing and navigating the world and doing it through art. That's really cool. And our next artist, David Righton. Please, David, introduce yourself to everyone and tell us a little bit about you.
All right. Hi, I'm Dave Brighton. I'm kind of a self-taught artist, I suppose. I grew up in a very artistic family, as well. My dad was an artist, and my mom made jewelry, and my stepdad was a potter. My sister is now a photographer. So I grew up around a lot of craft fairs and art shows and all that. And it opened my eyes to the world of art, but also, the pitfalls of it. So for a long time, I was sort of fighting my creative desire to paint and everything like that. So, I started painting a little bit in my mid-20s, but nothing I did, I really, didn't really like it. It was, found it frustrating because what I envisioned never actually, made onto the canvas. So I kind of put it aside for quite a while. And then it wasn't until probably 5 or 6 years ago that I came across, or I was given about 30 canvases, and I just started kind of exploring and painting on those, and finding that with no real goal in mind and not really having to worry about if you screw up, a canvas or whatever, it just, it was very liberating and kind of free. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. And I didn't have any paintbrushes, so I was just using wood and palette knives, and I found that limiting my tools, helped me become more creative in a way. And so that's what I do. I just use palette knives and pieces of scrap wood, and it just, this happens.
That's cool. Thanks, Dave. That's also really neat to hear your journey through creating art and using unconventional materials to paint with. That's pretty neat. Cool. So now we're going to take a little tour of the exhibition. It's just a little sneak peek of everything, so you can get a sense of what it is. This is not going to do any justice to coming in and seeing the pieces in person. They're fantastic. There's so much happening in all of them. But please enjoy this. Oops, that's not it. Enjoy this little tour. Awesome. This is what you would see as you come in off of our waterfront entrance. Catch the whole snapshot of the whole space. It's pretty full of art. Some bios from our artists you can read when you come in. And then and then we start with Gina's amazing artwork. It's all interconnected pieces for everyone watching. There's a reason they're all very close together and there's no space between them. They all create one sort of narrative. But individually, Gina too, these pieces are amazing on their own as well.
Thank you.
And great little details like these little fish floating around, which it could be water, it could be ground because there was like a car nearby. All these wonderful sort of dream and memory sort of images blending together. And we tried to pull back so you get the full scope of these canvases, these 6 canvases all together, and the little section that they make. Get another fantastic grouping of paintings. Again, they're all part of the same series from that first group and this group. They all kind of run together. And we'll be talking a lot more in depth about the ones that you're seeing right now a little bit later.
Yeah, and so I can interject a little bit while you're showcasing.
Please, yeah.
Yeah, so this is it's a series of 100 pieces. And I remember as a little girl, my mom used to say that if she could go into her jewelry studio in the morning and have something that she had started the day before, it was always a really productive day. And at the end of a work day, she'd try to leave herself a project to get to the following day. And I thought that that was such a great way to kind of know how to have something consistent in the way of your work as an artist. And so I thought, well, this is a great idea. I'm going to run with it. And I'm going to paint 100 pieces like an extended triptych so that I don't necessarily have to think about what my next project is going to be, but it's going to force me to stay engrossed in a process that has, you know, a long lasting time frame. And so that was the first part of the agenda in painting this series. And then the second thing was that I was sort of obsessed with this idea of pieces and how they connect in our own personal lives. And it might be, you know, how we connect memories to our present day experiences. It might be relationships and all the itty bitty pieces that build connection between people. It might be how we connect dream world and our unconscious ideas to things that are happening in real time and real space. And so it started off as a way of trying to articulate what connection looks like visually. And in a sense, it almost became a way of building some other kind of visual narrative. It was more about bringing childhood memories into my present day experience. And this piece in particular, the giraffes sort of illustrate my childhood experiences growing up in South Africa, and then literally hopping on a plane and moving to Canada, and all the bits and pieces in between. I was also at this particular time living with my sister and her son, who was obsessed with lions and animals. And so we were reading a lot of storybooks about animals, and giraffes seemed to be present too, and in the way that I was engaging with him around storytelling. And so as much as this had to do about childhood memory, it also had to do with, in my present world, living with a little kid who was really invested in lots of stories about animals. And then the tulips, which you see on the right, are my mother's tables in her living room and dining room, kind of always populated with these beautiful bowls of flowers. So that for me was home in Canada.
That's lovely. That's wonderful, Gina. Thank you for that insight.
Thanks for letting me interject.
Totally. And then we move on into David's artwork, which is drastically different, but carries, I think, a lot of similar elements, bold colors and layers and symbolism and hidden meaning that you can just kind of get lost in. And really wonderful draftsmanship as well, David. Say I love in this one where the people don't have features. they're just full of color and energy, but that says a lot about them.
Yeah, I wanted to try and see if I could get the feel of an in-depth conversation without any facial features.
Totally.
Just try and do it all with the body language.
Yeah. And then, And then we've got these really amazing prints, this really cool print series. There's this really, really neat mixture of like urban life and daily life plus nature and how they can coexist or invade each other's spaces.
Yeah.
And then these really cool skateboard decks. I really love these. I'm a little bit of a sci-fi nerd, so these were really rad to see.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Yeah, they were part of a little series of you know, kind of obscure sci-fi characters and villains.
So that's the show. That's the exhibition. It's really neat. It's really cool, really diverse, wonderful things. You really have to come in and see it. Come in person to see it and see all the great little details and everything. So thank you, Gina and David, for sharing your work and letting us display it in our tiny little gallery. But we were able to fit a lot of bold and colorful work in.
Yeah, thanks for having us in there.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, totally. Thank you. So yeah, as we said, we're going to get a little bit further in depth on some of these pieces, and Gina started us off with that really cool those 4 pieces with the giraffes and the plane. It was really cool. And so, David, you wanted to talk about those that group of prints.
Yeah, the group of prints that so they were based. The original was 3 feet by 4 feet, I believe, of that one, and it was called "Everything Ends Up Somewhere." And the way that the prints like that came about was I was having a 2-month art show that had 2 openings in it, and that was the image that was promoting it. And on the opening night, that piece sold, but the lady needed to take it with her, or she wouldn't, you know. So we kind of talked about it, and I said I'd figure out a way to make it work. So she took that piece, and I frantically tried to figure out how I could continue that image in the show. And so I came up with an idea of doing a run of you know, of 50. I haven't done 50 yet, but about halfway through. A run of 50 where I'll take the prints and then create a stencil out of the print by cutting the background away and then altering each piece so that each one in turn becomes a semi-original piece that you could, you know, still have. And also keep it somewhat, you know, affordable for people so people can have an original, if you will. So it was a very fun, you know, very fun project, reimagining a piece over and over and trying to make it, you know, interesting and, you know, what if I had done this with the original? And it's just, yeah, it was a lot of fun to do it this way. And the other thing that was great about it is if I'm painting another piece or get kind of stuck with what my next project or painting is going to be, like Gina was saying with her series, it was like a way of keeping it going. I find that these are also a way, like if I don't know what to do next, or if I'm just, you know, have a couple canvases with paint on them and don't see where they're going yet, I can just pull out a few of these and start working on them, and it just gets it, you know, helps get everything flowing and going again. So that's the story behind these ones here.
Very cool. So in terms of is there other layers of printmaking on top of these, or is it more just you're attacking it with like brushes and palette knives?
So I'll cut away the background and use it as a stencil, and then I'll use spray paint and well, anything really. I've been using spray paint and stencils and markers and charcoal and just whatever I get my hands on to, kind of change each piece up a little bit, and just playing around with different, cutting out different pieces of the stencils to, change the colors and remove pieces that were in there. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun. There's a few that don't work, but I don't know. I just keep going until it works, and it's yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's cool. Yeah, no, they're really neat to see. Yeah, these remixes. It's really cool. Gina, do you have anything else you wanted to share about that little grouping of 4 that we saw earlier?
I mean, not necessarily. I think, the only thing that I will say added on to that particular section, and also just, I guess, my pull to paint in general, is that this idea of seeing things and not seeing things were kind of coexisting themes for me, that in a way are tribute to growing up in South Africa, and sort of as a child being kind of aware of atrocities that were happening in the country around apartheid, but it's not something that you could really articulate yet as a small person. And so I think so much of me continuing to explore childhood memories and continuing to kind of reimagine these faded memories I have of South Africa are a response to that experience, having one foot in South Africa and then one foot in Canada, and kind of so many questions about what that particular time was.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And has the series brought you any closer to reconciling that and figuring that all out?
Yeah, I mean, I think that probably, I want to be able to, in my work, develop something that's less abstracted around, the narrative in my work. I think, maybe in a more tangible way, I can explore some of these childhood memories. This is sort of more of an abstracted way of getting to these things. But at the moment, I'm working with an artist who spent a lifetime as a social and political painter. And so it's kind of opened my eyes up to a whole new world of storytelling that's so much about the community. And in many cases, it's mural making with community. So that's a long-winded way of saying the painting, I think, has led me to wanting to develop a clearer narrative in my own work as I move forward.
Cool. Very cool. Such really neat insights from both of you. Very cool. There's lots of different kinds of layering happening in this, in terms of subject and media, and shapes and colors. What is it about building on top of all of these different elements that appeals to both of you?
For me, I'll go first, I guess, on that. For me, it's a way of getting to the final painting. Like, I will add a layer and I'll find, one part might be better, like will stand out to me of that layer, and then I will consciously keep that part and then paint over the rest and find a pocket of colors and shapes that may have come out of that that stand out to me as well. And I just kind of build it from there, and we'll see, and usually I'll have a pocket of, whatever, 2 or 3 parts, even if it says color and a bit of shapes together that, I really like. And then I'll figure out what I can build into that, that is more tangible and more of a focal point of the whole piece. So for me, it's like a way of collecting little bits that are random that I like, and then kind of pull it all together into a final piece with a subject, if you will. So it's for me, it's the process I really enjoy of just experimenting and not being confined to what I think the piece should be, but just finding little happy little moments in the painting that I didn't plan on, and then adding to those.
Gina, any thoughts on why you use so many different kinds of layers, like physically and metaphorically in your work?
Yeah, I love layers. I mean, I love the act of building them. It's very tactile, and it can almost be a meditative experience when you're working that way. And I also think too, like in abstract painting techniques, there's something really wonderful about being in dialogue with your painting. So sometimes the painting will kind of indicate that layers are needed in a particular place. And in other instances, I think it helps create depth. It helps build color to work with layers. And metaphorically, I think it has so much to do with, like the way in which we are as people. We're many, many layers that build the shape of a person or the shape of a story. So I like thinking about that too as I'm working with layers. And it'll be, I'm speaking about it very vaguely now, but in the act of building layers, there's usually something very specific that you might be visiting, like a memory or a dream or a relationship to someone or an event. And all of these layers seem to kind of unfold as you're working.
Very cool. Very cool. Wonderful, wonderful insights, everyone. That's cool. And for everyone watching and everyone who will watch this later, if you want to learn more about Gina and David and their artwork, links to their sites are in the description. So you can definitely go and check that out and see more examples of their amazing work and what they're up to. Yeah. So if you have any questions or comments for artists, now's time to get them in and drop them in that chat. Gina and David, how has it been as we're here in BC anyway, coming into this our stage 3 of reopening? How have you found it the past year and a half as working artists to create and try and exhibit your work? Has that influenced any of the things that you've done recently?
I found it, challenging at first. It was hard to actually want to paint without a goal in mind, because I'd been working up to, a couple different shows that were happening very similar. So I was working very hard at getting a bunch of pieces together. And then of course, everything was canceled and shut down. And it was a little challenging to want to keep going at it. But after a few months, the urge came back, and just, you kind of just keep going with it. And I'm glad that things are getting back to being able to have shows and go and see art and get outside.
Totally. Yeah, this exhibition was originally scheduled for last summer, but we had to switch it. So we were incredibly thankful that you two were able to accommodate and be able to move everything over to this year. It's a perfect summertime show, I think, especially this summer. People are going to need these something to engage with, artwork to engage with and talk about, and something that is so colorful and so intricate and provocative, I would say. The artworks in this exhibition are. Has the last year and a half it changed the way that either of you have gone about creating your artwork, or inspired a new series or anything?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, first of all, time has felt like not typical during this? Like in some ways it feels like it's been really slow, and in other ways it feels like it's just raced forward. And I definitely think that like my sense of how I hold community has shifted. And, you know, I've been immersed in an organization in the last year that's been under the leadership of a wonderful mural painter, Judy Baca, who's spent kind of a lifetime building community-based work. And so I think, you know, being in quasi-isolation with some loved ones has definitely made me think about, you know, what do I want to do as an artist, and what do I want to say as an artist? And mural painting is something that I'm visiting with like a new lens. And then there's this whole tradition of Mexican mural techniques that I've been immersed in the last year that are definitely making me revisit the way in which I've been painting and the way I want to move forward. And I'm trying out these things in my own work and kind of having aha moments, and then moments of like, I don't know what my voice is anymore. So it's been a period of great learning, and definitely just the COVID story has had a huge impact on loved ones. And so that's in my consciousness too. And I don't know yet how to paint that, but it's in my thinking a lot.
What's on the horizon for you two? What other sort of art projects or works can we expect to see from the two of you in the future?
I don't have a lot of plans at the moment. I mean, I'm just going to continue. I need to get back into the studio and really start focusing on it again. Since all of COVID, it's sort of like she said. You know, time kind of went weird for a bit, and you know, it was really busy, but I don't know busy with what. It was just like this weird kind of time of you know, just not knowing what you're doing. You know, a lot of uncertainty. But you know, I think, you know, I'm excited to get back in, but I have no after this show, I'm just, you know, I'm going to work on a new series of things. I have some ideas of the topics and things I want to paint, but at this point it's, you know, just need to just get back to it. Really. Yeah.
Totally.
I think for me personally, I have been a painting assistant. This has been one of the roles in my my current position, and we've been working on two pieces that are going to be one piece in particular. It's called the Matriarchal Mural, and that's going to be exhibited in a show that opens next week. It's Judy Baca's retrospective show. So this piece will this piece is an examination of sort of the role of women as leaders, and it's a double-sided triptych. So we have that to look forward to, and then we're currently collaborating on a mural that, and when I say collaborating, I'm an assistant collaborator. She's directing the whole project, but it's a mural that celebrates 100 years of life on campus at UCLA. So that mural will go up in September. And then in terms of my personal work, it'll be getting back to the series. I feel like I got to 50 pieces, and I have lots of frames crying out to be used and rolls of canvas as well. So yeah, I hope to finish the series so that I can move on to another series of 100 pieces. Or hopefully something very different.
And how many pieces do you envision completing this series?
I think 100. I have 100 frames that a dear friend, Dave McLeod, built for me. But at the moment, they're stuffed under beds and in closets and nooks and crannies. And, you know, like I need to get them out. So 100 is the limit.
Nice. That's very cool. It'd be great to actually see them, to be able to be joined together in one continuous line. That would be really interesting if you could find a space that could accommodate that.
Yeah, this was the goal. And in fact, the first 12 are they are in a permanent collection at the UBC hospital. So once I made that donation, I was like, well, I guess I'm not hanging on to the 100 pieces. But maybe there will be a point where it's necessary to have them all pieced together.
That'd be neat.
Cool to see 100 altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. There's this great sort of merging of elements in your work, both of you, kind of this nature and sort of daily life. You could maybe say urban life. Some of these look like small town life. But is there what sort of draws you into sort of the two of you into mashing all of that sort of stuff up together and to make a piece?
I think it in part has to do with just growing up in Vancouver. We're so privileged in a way to be living in a part of the world that's so beautiful, and the natural world is ever so present. Before I moved to Los Angeles, I was living in Deep Cove. And so it was, like this really idyllic, beautiful part of Vancouver that just felt like a total immersion. Trees, mountains, like your backyard. And so I think that in a sense has an impact. It's like it's hard not to pay attention to the natural world. And then you're in such close proximity to the downtown city too. So there's always this overlap.
Yeah, and for me, I find it's sort of it's the encroachment in a way. Like you can be downtown and see a coyote kind of just like sauntering along, and you're just like, what? It doesn't make sense, So for me, I just like the idea of the having animals in a setting that they're not always in, or I don't know. It just sort of, I like the visual look of that.
Yeah, totally. That's very cool. Well, everyone, I think we're about ready to wrap this little chat up. Thanks to Gina and David for sharing their wonderful artwork with us and for joining us tonight and sharing their insights about their work. It's been amazing. And thank you to everyone who is watching this now and who will be watching it later. It'll be a pretty cool video to go back and revisit and see what everyone had to say. A reminder, Living in Layers, featuring the artwork of Gina Leon and David Righton, is on display at the Silk Purse Arts Center here in West Vancouver until July 25th. And the gallery is open Thursdays through Saturday, 12 to 5, Sundays, 12 to 4. And we look forward to seeing you all here at the show, because it'll just blow your mind. There's so much to get lost in this wonderful exhibition. And as I said, if you want to follow or find out more about Gina and David, you can check their websites, which are in the description. Any last words either of you want to say?
Thank you so much for hosting, and
yeah, thank you.
And for giving us the opportunity to showcase our work a year later than anticipated, but what a delight anyway.
Yeah, thank you very much.
It's been great. Awesome. So thanks very much, everyone, and have a wonderful rest of your evening, and stay safe and stay creative. Take care. Bye.